Hello and welcome to a lovely evening here in beautiful Nova Scotia. November the 1st. November the 1st, and actually I reckon I could get away with not having this top on, just having a t-shirt on. It's been about 16 degrees today, so a beautiful day. Not much of a breeze, so definitely a good day, and the sun has been out most of the day. So, and also welcome to the second video in my series of videos on how to design and then build your very own kitchen garden. And in the first video, bit of a recap. In the first video we we talked about the sort of strategic questions you need to ask yourself before getting in amongst actually building a design, building a kitchen garden. You know, who's going to use it? What are they going to use it? You know, what are you going to grow? What do you like eating? What are you going to make it out of? Where's the sun? Where is the actual garden going to be created? You want it, you know, as close to your house as possible. Things like that. Like I said, what is it going to be made of? How much have you got to spend? And why? Why are you actually building your kitchen garden? Is it to feed your family? You know, cut down on your shopping bill? Is it to make you feel good by, you know, doing a little bit of work and sitting in there and eating your food or maybe you want to grow a bit more extra food so that you can give it away to your friends, relatives, give it away to charity. Again, making yourself possibly feel good and making other people feel good that way. So those were the sort of questions I asked, and you should be asking yourself, you know, before we actually get down to designing your kitchen garden, and that's what we spoke about in the last video. Now in this video, a little bit more practical, but we're still not building or actually designing our kitchen garden yet. I've got my plot, the old plot here, but I need to measure it up. Now you could, you know, just go out and get yourself a load of wood, but or just, you know, draw your design and then go out and get a load of wood, but you know, that's not going to, it could end up costing you more money by getting a load of wood that you're not going to use, or your design might not fit. So it's a good idea just to spend that little bit extra time again to measure things up. Again, looking where is the sun, make sure, you know, those sorts of things are on your map. Any sort of obstacles, tracing them on your map, etc. And things like that. So what do we need for our measuring up routine? Well, obviously we need a tape measure. Now you don't have to, but a gridded bit of paper is always handy. That always makes drawing straight lines and knowing where you are a little bit easier, making scale maps, etc. Obviously a pencil, preferably one with a lead in it. That's no good, is it? And a ruler is handy, but not entirely necessary. Compass is always a good thing. I obviously know which way the sun is, so that's south. But a compass is a good idea if you need it. Now, it's easy enough to measure out your plot, but you also want things to be, you know, quite accurate, because like I said, you want to make sure that your design really fits and is really accurate when you measure it up and draw it on your piece of paper. So triangulation is a good idea in this instance to sort of help you get things more accurate. Now we're going to triangulation in a minute, but I want to start with a couple of fixed points. So in my case, sort of my fixed point, I've got a couple of good fixed points. The shed at the end there, that's sort of a very fixed point. I don't plan on moving that in the near future. And on this side, behind you, obviously I have my greenhouse, which again is another fixed point. This area, this fence here, maybe it's a fixed point at the moment. I am thinking that I'm going to still keep this here. So that is, and then obviously I've got a couple of trees here as well. And I'm not moving them. They're beautiful. Beautiful birches, and obviously again in my case, I'm trying to keep as many of these sort of trees, and it's the old climate crisis, etc. More trees we have, the better. So they're staying. So, first things first. Rough sort of, let's have a sit down and do this bit. So I'm hoping you can see this drawing okay. So I'm just doing a bit of a rough drawing of the area so far. So I've got, on the shed line there, I've got my 3 pillars. I haven't measured them up yet, but they're the 3 pillars. And then on the other side, I have the greenhouse here with the raised beds either side. And then another raised bed that is over there, here. And there's my centre and a door. And then I've got some trees just roughly put in that are just to the sort of edge of this right hand side pillar of the shed. And then you always want to put sort of the centre of your actual tree, so that we're going to measure a triangle here, here and here. And then that, because if you've got 3 sides of a triangle, they can only fit, if you measure 3 sides of a triangle, they can only fit one way. So you'll have an accurate measurement of where that tree is in relation to this pillar and this pillar. And the same with the edge of this fence line here, here to here and there. And again, we'll have an accurate idea of exactly where that edge of that thing is, and we'll go along all the way around. So I'm going to have a little go at that now, and we'll do that first. We'll measure these up, and then I'll do that tree first, and we can have a look at it like that. A few breakages. Okay, so I have measured the distance between each one of these uprights, these pillars at the end here, and that's about 230 centimetres between those two. So now I want to triangulate this tree to know exactly where it is on my design. So if I measure the centre, approximately the sort of centre of this tree, so that's 169 centimetres, 1,69 metre from the edge of that pillar to the sort of centre of the tree. So I know now incredible breaking pencils. 169 centimetres. I prefer to do my measuring in centimetres nowadays. It's a lot more accurate. You can get, I know it doesn't matter at this sort of large scale, but getting down centimetres, millimetres, much more accurate and easier to sort of remember as well. Right, so next one. So I've got one side of the triangle, pillar to pillar. Next side of the triangle, pillar to the centre of the tree. And then the last side, that centre pillar there. Not sure if you can see it on your screen. To the centre again of this. Ooh, hang on. It's about 1,26 metres. That is not right. I think that's 169 inches. the old saying, isn't it? Measure twice, cut once. It's actually 3 meters 20. Right, so now I know exactly where that tree is, because like I said, if you know 3 sides of a triangle, it can only fit one way, so that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that tree over there, and then I'm going to do the rest of the actual measuring up, and then we might actually get, then I'm going to draw it out a bit neater on this piece of paper, so that we can get a good accurate idea of the actual layout, and then we can get down to some designing. So give me a few seconds to do this and I'll be right back. Okay, so that is all my measurements done. It's a bit on the messy side at the moment, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to retire to the to my design room, otherwise known as my kitchen, and we'll have a look at tidying the actual drawing up and think about what we're going to do for the next steps. Right, so here's my messy drawing. As you can see, we've got the 3 uprights or pillars from the shed at the top end here, and north is, as usual, at the top. And then I've got these triangles sort of emanating from, mostly from the centre here. The centre pillar, which is my sort of centrepiece really, and everything sort of spins out from here, and greenhouse at the bottom, and these sort of trace trees at the top. Now let's move over to a more sort of the drawing that I've made from that, so that I can we can see it a bit better. So things are a bit tidied up now. As you can see, again, pillars at the top with the north pointing upwards, and the trees are a bit more obvious now on the left hand side. And in the center top there's a rectangle, and I forgot to mention when I was out in the garden that is staying for this first iteration of my design and the build itself, because that's got garlic in it, and I won't be able to change that until next summer, but I can do the design ready for that anyway. So everything's all, and what I've done here is I actually put it on a scale, so it's something like 4 squares are equal to a meter. So even though I haven't got measurements everywhere, I know sort of if I put 4 squares along, I know that's a meter, etc. Now if you look on the bottommost tree, just sort of towards the top right of that tree, there's a black marker. That's actually a rock, and that is stuck in the ground, and I'm going to use that as that's really as far left as I'm going to go with my design. So all the sort of raised beds, etc., have to be on the right hand side or equal to that all the way down. So there we go, pretty plain really. I know now the sort of size I've got. I can move on now to the design, and that's what we're going to do in the next video. Okay, so there we go. That is the measuring up of the space. Now we can get down to a bit of designing. Just a quick recap. So obviously we measured up the space. We looked at where is south, and that's going to go down on our little drawing. Any potential obstacles in the way, we've put them, measured them down, measured the distances of everything, so that when we get down to actually doing our design, we can confidently put if we want to put 2 6x8 or 4 foot by 8 foot beds next to each other, we know that we can fit them in, or we know if we put a certain bed in a certain place, it's going to get sun all day. So that's, that is the advantage of putting a little bit of effort into drawing up the start of your plan. So in the next in the next video, I suppose it is an episode really, in the next video we're going to actually start looking at the design. We're going to take our space, and we're going to take the information that we gathered in the first video in the who's and the what's and the why's, etc. And we're going to put them together to start creating your dream kitchen garden that we want to create to make us feel good and grow great veg. Job's a good one.